Yeah, we like to do this every week or two, and that's bring an author on. Today we have the author of Diet Cults, The Surprising Fallacy at the Core of Nutrition Fads and a Guide to Healthy Eating for the Rest of Us. Matt Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Matt, welcome to the show. Matt, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can hear you.
No, I can't. I can hear you. Welcome to the show, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, so what made you want to write a book about nutrition and diets?
Well, I work as a sports nutritionist, and I'm always trying to help athletes perform better by improving their diets. And there's so much pushback from clowns with all kinds of crazy diet philosophies that just make my job harder. And I kind of wondered, why are people so irrational about food? Like, why can't they think straight about food? And this book is what came out of that journey, basically.
How long did it take you to write that?
Oh, a couple of years, if you count the research, maybe 3 years.
I would notice out here in Los Angeles, for the past like 3 or 4 years, is everybody developed a gluten allergy.
Yep.
Which I just find to be total fucking bullshit. But I feel like it's something that like rich people need to come up with so they can have something to talk about over dinner. What did you look into the whole gluten thing? I'm kind of curious about that.
Oh yeah, there's a whole chapter in the book called Scape Gluten, and the idea is that there's a long tradition of people just kind of scapegoating particular nutrients. It's like flavor of the month kind of thing. So gluten is not the first one, and it won't be the last. And people have a tendency to think in black and white terms about foods. So if they find one little thing wrong with something, they'll just flush it right down the toilet. But the scientists who are kind of looking at gluten agree with you. They say it is total bullshit. I mean, there are people who have celiac disease, and that's an autoimmune disease, and you can't have gluten if you've got that disease. But that's about 1% of the population.
So if you don't have, what is it, celiac disease, then you're just
Celiac,
full of shit.
Yep, celiac disease. That's right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I know some of these motherfuckers be real. It's like, oh, I'm gluten free, or they'll use that shit. Like my homie's got a girl who uses that shit like she's a diabetic or something like that. She'd be like, oh, there's too much gluten around me. I need to go home. Like I've seen her bail from a party because of gluten. I'm like, what the fuck is this all about, man?
New disease.
What about this?
guarantee
What about?
in 50
Keep
years,
going, Matt.
people won't be talking about gluten.
What about the caveman diet? I keep hearing about the caveman diet. What is this one?
Yeah, the paleo diet. So that one's based on the idea that people shouldn't eat anything that, our ancient ancestors didn't eat. That we have like this short little genetic leash, and if food changes, our bodies can't keep up with it. And again, nothing could be further from the truth. Like, humans are nature's ultimate omnivore. When we left the trees in Africa, a zillion years ago, we got really good at changing up our diet. So it's not like we can eat just anything and expect to be healthy, but we're super adaptable. So you can go from, a vegetarian diet to a paleo diet to a gluten-free or whatever, and you can be pretty much healthy on all of them because of the way humans are built.
We're adaptable, as
Exactly.
kind of like it's like whatever region you put us in, we just eat what's in that region and we can get it in. Like that's how we are able to fucking have 8 billion of us here.
That's right.
What do you What do you think the biggest obesity is? Definitely a problem here in America. I heard that like 70% of firefighters are overweight. Like there's just and kids are fatter than ever. What do you think the main reason for the obesity is in America is then?
It really is just eating too much, and because food has become so cheap, so plentiful, and so freaking delicious, and it's advertised everywhere. You can't turn on the TV without just having some burger stuffed in your face, and it's tempting, and you want more of it when you have one, and that's really the core of the problem. You have people who try and say, oh, it's not too much food, it's too much carbs, too much sugar, too much meat, whatever. It's none of that. It's just we eat too much. We're a nation of plate cleaners. So if you give us a plate with too much food, we're going to eat too much food.
That's true, man. I noticed that shit. I had to break that. I had to break that habit myself, man. You grow up like where you're conditioned to, you got people from the Depression raising your parents, and then your parents raised you, and it's like, yo, you didn't waste food back then. But nowadays, it's like food is a lot easier to come by, and you kind of got to let go of that whole clean the plate mentality, because it seems to me, Matt, that it's almost detrimental to our health at times.
Yeah, and it's really not necessary. Like, you can try a little experiment where you just go through a day and you eat a little bit less than at each meal. You don't go hungry, but you just serve yourself a little less. And when you get to bedtime, you won't be hungry, and you'll realize, you know what, I'm eating too much at every single meal, like more than I need to eat. You don't have to go hungry. You just need to dial back, your habitual portion sizes a little bit.
888-742-3345. We got Matt Fitzgerald here, author of Diet Cults. So what do you suggest for people to do? All right, so portion control is something that they can do. What else? Are there any diets that are good?
Yeah, the thing is, they're all good. That's the thing. Everyone will say, oh, our diet's the only good diet, but that's not true, unless it's something like really wacko. I came across one diet called breatharianism, and that's where they think that you don't have to eat at all. Unless you're like that far out there, most of the diets are fine, and that's kind of the point. Like, there's no like one true way that you have to eat. But for me, like, I think there are a lot of people out there who are just turned off by a lot of the dogma and the arbitrary restrictions. So for them, if you're like me, I advocate something I call agnostic healthy eating, which is just you eat like a normal red-blooded American, but you just raise the overall quality of your diet. You make sure you get your vegetables. You don't go crazy on the fried chicken. And then, you can eat the way you grew up, but you just, raise the bar on your standards, and you'll be fine.
We got a lot of truck drivers that listen to us, and I don't know if you've ever traveled around America, but, like, it is pretty hard to eat clean in certain areas. What do you suggest for these cats?
Yeah, it's doable. Like, pretty much, I have a good friend who drives a truck, and, he figured it out. It's hard, but it actually gets easy once you break out of the habit. Even a place like a convenience store, you can go in there, you can find nuts, you can find beef jerky, things like that. They taste pretty good, and they're a lot better than some the corn dogs or whatever else they have there. So, yeah, it's tricky, but you only have to solve these problems once. Like, once you can figure out, oh, I can get something decent at this fast food place, something decent at this convenience store, then you don't have to solve those problems again. You just build new habits, and you're good to go.
We're going to play a song. Can you take some phone calls after the song?
You bet.
All right, we got Matt Fitzgerald here. He is the author of Diet Cults, The Surprising Fallacy at the Core of Nutrition Fads and a Guide to Healthy Eating for the Rest of Us. Don't go anywhere. 888-742-3345. Come back with Matt Fitzgerald. Yo, what's up? We got Matt Fitzgerald, author of Diet Cults, The Surprising Fallacy at the Core of Nutrition Fads and a Guide to Healthy Eating for the Rest of Us. What's up, Matt?
Yo, I'm here.
Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to take some phone calls, and if you got any questions for Matt, call up right now, 888-742-3345. Let's go to David. He disagrees with you, Matt. Here's David in Detroit.
All right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, David.
What up, Jude? Hey, man, all right, so look, I kind of disagree with your blanket statement that carbs don't matter. I mean, I think that's kind of a safe, it's a very general statement because, what are your thoughts on the low-carb diet that's outlined in the book, The 4-Hour Body by Timothy Ferriss?
Well, okay, yeah. Carbs, I mean, yes and no. If we're talking about obesity, the question was what's the main cause, and it is overeating. If you look at different ways of losing weight, like a low-fat diet versus low-carb versus vegetarian, Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, they all have pretty much the same success rate, which is close to zero long-term. So you can lose weight on any diet, but almost no one keeps weight off permanently. It's not so much the diet itself, it's the motivation. If you look at people who've lost a lot of weight and kept it off long-term, there's no consistent diet, but they all have a high level of motivation. So basically, if you're determined to succeed, you're like, all right, this time I'm just not going to fail, then you will succeed. It doesn't really matter too much which diet you choose. So
Disagree.
Low carb diet can be fine, but it's not.
No,
it's
not low carb.
the only way.
Low carb. I'm trading out bread and all that other bad shit for beans and vegetables that provide carbs. So when you say the diet doesn't matter, I think once again that's a general statement, and I'm just gonna call bullshit on it, because you're telling me that if I portion, you know, a slice, or let's say I eat 2 slices of pizza with a bunch of cheese and meat and stuff on it, but it's healthier than eating a whole pizza as opposed to me eating, you know, a pound of steak with sauteed vegetables and beans. Like, they're completely different carbs that I'm taking in, so it does matter what you eat. And, I mean, I went for a year straight with eating, you know.
All right, David. Okay. All right. Matt, what would you like to say to that?
Yeah, I get where he's coming from. I mean, I agree quality matters, too. It's not just quantity. For example, I recommend that people eat whole grains versus refined grains whenever it's convenient to do so. His point's well taken. You know, when you drill down, the specifics do matter to some degree.
What about, we haven't even spoken about on exercise. I noticed that as I get older and get a better job, I don't move as much anymore. You know, like I come to the office and I'm sitting around more. I have to make a point to be active. How much of a part does exercise play in this?
Well, huge. I mean, for overall health, I mean, exercise is the closest thing to a cure-all that we have. I mean, it's good for mental health, physical health, weight management, you name it. And the world that I live in, I'm surrounded by triathletes and marathon runners, and it's amazing if you do this stuff how much you can eat and not become overweight. So, being active, it buys you a little bit of slack. You know, you still have to have a healthy diet, but you definitely can get away with a little more ice cream and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm an addict, so I'm lucky. You know, I work out twice a day, and you know, I like to eat big, and I can get away with it because I'm so active.
But if you stop your activity, I see this shit a lot of times, like with ex-football players and stuff. They stop playing ball, but they keep that same caloric intake, and they blow the fuck up.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Like, I get injured sometimes, and, you know, so I stop working out because I'm hurt, but my appetite stays right where it was before, and I've been known to gain like 15 pounds in 2 weeks, so, Damn. Yeah, it's a problem.
Let's go to D in Florida. D, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, how you doing, Matt?
All right.
All righty. So I'm 6 foot, 350 pounds, and my wife tells me the richer I get, the fatter I keep getting. So I want to know something that I could, you know, do to possibly lose some weight.
Yeah,
a nice regimen.
Yeah, so on diet, you know, I recommend just raising the overall quality. So if you eat bread, go to the wheat bread instead of the refined bread. If you eat, like, breakfast cereal, go to the whole grain versus the stuff.
I don't want to work out. I just want to try and cut down on what I'm eating.
Yep.
Maybe lose about 50 pounds. I think I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Hold the mayonnaise on your shit. Like, when you're that fat, when you're that fat, you gotta just hold the cheese and hold the mayonnaise and don't eat candy, and it's amazing how much you'll fucking drop, dude.
Yeah,
I know.
The big ones are fast food, soda pop, and fried food, and, you know, other sweets. If you can limit that stuff and fill up on whatever else, you'll start moving in the right direction. You don't have to eliminate every damn thing, but just stay away from the fast food drive-through window and cut your 6 Cokes a habit down a day down to 1.
Yeah, I switched over to water about a couple weeks ago, and it didn't seem to do anything. No, nothing yet.
Well, keep going, man.
I know, because I used to drink water. And I still drink water, but it takes a while. I noticed it.
So you lost a little bit of weight, Mr. Sear?
Yeah, I did lose like 30, but I did gain some weight back.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. All right, man. You guys keep it up, and I appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to go ahead and try and lose some more weight for the old missus.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good luck to you. Yeah, she ain't marry a fat ass. You know what I mean? So fucking lose some weight.
That's all she married. That's why she's back at my old weight.
There it is. Leroy in Cincinnati. Leroy.
Yo, what's going on?
Go ahead, man. You got Matthew.
Thanks. I was just asking a question about high fructose corn syrup. Is that bullshit? I mean, is it just because, like, over the years they put it in everything, so that's what we've been consuming? If it was just regular sugar in there, would we be talking the same thing?
You're exactly right. With the scientists, when they, get in the lab and try and study the tiny little molecular differences, there are tiny little differences between different types of sugar, but in the big picture, it doesn't matter at all. Any kind of sugar pretty much is going to have the same effect. So, yeah, that's another example of, hyping up, one particular nutrient as, the devil when, it's not quite so much.
Well, does that mean that sugar is okay for you?
No, it means that it's all pretty much going to fatten you up, unless it comes from fruit. If a food comes straight from a tree or out of the ground with sugar in it, that's okay. But when you're pumping sugar in it, that's not okay. And in that case, it doesn't really matter what kind of sugar they're pumping in the food. It's going to make you fat regardless. Because
out here in L.A., cats will be pounding fucking the Mexican Cokes like it's good for them because it's got sugar. And I'm like, it's still motherfucking sugar, dog. It's like, it's like a cat like fucking smoking heroin instead of shooting it up. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm not shooting it up, though. It's like, bro, you still doing it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Let's go to Alicia in Baltimore. Go ahead, Alicia.
Hi. So I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I have a bunch of people on second generation. And with these fast appointments, I'm trying to think about, like, what is the best piece of nutritional advice that I can give to my patients. When
Alicia, let me jump in. What is second generation so people know what you're talking about? What is that?
Oh, antipsychotics like Seroquel, olanzapine, Risperdal, Abilify, things like that.
Okay. All right. So keep going. So you got crazy people that are taking them shits and they're trying to now what?
These medications have metabolic side effects that are known to cause weight gain and raise the hemoglobin A1C. And I only usually have about 10, 15 minutes with them. And a lot of times I want to give them one great piece of nutritional advice so that they won't continue to gain weight or that they won't start to pack on the pounds where they are.
Yeah, that's a pretty common problem, and the problem is that those drugs make them hungry, and I don't know about you, but when I'm hungry, I eat, and so telling them, resist temptation, that's not going to work. I encourage people when they have a huge appetite because of medication or whatever, it's like, go ahead and eat, but just try to fill up on the good stuff first. Find healthy foods you like and eat it first. So, like, if you just got to have that burger for lunch, make a salad too, eat the salad first, and then whatever you're still hungry for, maybe it's only half the burger after that. But if you give them unrealistic advice, then it's not going to help them at all. So that's what I recommend.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of times with antipsychotics, we give them at bedtime. So I have people literally waking up at 3 a.m. telling me that they're going to raid the refrigerator for sweets.
Yeah.
And and 6 weeks later, they're 20 pounds heavier. Yes, they're not their psychosis has improved, but now I have a problem with their lipids. So that's what we are.
Bam.
We got Michael in L.A. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I've studied nutrition for like the last 10 years, and it's amazing to me that you've done 3 years to write this book, and the only thing that you came up with is eat less. I think it's complete bullshit. The other is that it's already a proven fact that a lot of indigenous cultures that ate wheat and other grains actually fermented this stuff because there's anti-nutrients in these grains and things like that you need to deactivate in order to make it something that your body can actually use as nutrition. So saying that going from eating refined to unrefined is actually complete bullshit too because of what I just stated.
Yeah, I can see they've gotten to you too, and this is common. The trouble is that none of us are scientists, so what we do is we choose the authorities we trust. Is going to the psychopaths out there who've just drunk the Kool-Aid and then parroting the same lines over and over.
Is that the type of so instead of trying to combat me with good information, what you did was you basically just told me that I'm basically a conspiracy theorist, and then so it completely negates my entire point that I just made. That's pretty good. I'm going to try that next time.
But can I get to the good information? Because I apologize for the ad hominem, but the good information is forget about the indigenous cultures and the anti-nutrients. The only thing that really matters is what actually happens to your health when you eat grains. And there the research is clear The people who eat the most whole grains have lower levels of systemic inflammation, they're leaner, they live longer, they have lower rates of heart disease and diabetes. So what you've done is what's called the reductionist term. When there's a big picture result that doesn't favor your nutritional ideology, you go to the small picture, the intermediate effects. The intermediate effects doesn't matter. Who cares what the nutrient does when your body's processing it? I want to know, am I going to get fatter or skinnier? Am I going to live longer or die sooner? And when you look at those questions, the research is absolutely clear unless you go to the psychopathic clowns. I'm telling you, the stuff that's coming from the actual peer-reviewed journals shows that eating more whole grains is healthier for you in every conceivable way.
Michael in LA, thank you for calling. Matt Fitzgerald, he is the author of Diet Cult. I lost a goddamn thing. Hold on. Hold on one second, Matt. He is the author of what are you the fucking author of, man?
You had it, Diet Cult.
I know, but I wanted the whole fucking thing. I wanted the whole name because it's a long ass name. What's the whole name that people
All right,
can
yeah.
get?
Subtitle: The Surprising Fallacy at the Core of Nutrition Fads and a Guide to Healthy Eating for the Rest of Us.
There it is. The author of Diet Cults, a surprising fallacy at the core of nutrition fads and a guide to healthy eating for the rest of us. Are you on Twitter or is it on Amazon? Can I go to Amazon and get it?
Everywhere books are sold.
Matt Fitzgerald, it was a pleasure having you on the show, and I know I'm going to take some of your advice and apply it to my eating, the way I'm eating, and maybe I can drop a couple pounds myself.
All right, good luck with that.
All right.
All right, thanks. That was Matt Fitzgerald. He's an author. He wrote a book, and it was a pretty interesting little debate to hear between him and other nutritionists.